Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight news, and reviews on a daily basis. And last week, we gave our top 10 women's wrestlers of 2024 so far, based on in-ring work, consistency, and promo work. And because those lists were just unanimously absolutely loved, everybody agreed with us on all of our picks. We've decided we've got no option but to do the men's this week. Firstly, let me introduce the co-host of today's show, and that is Clark. How are you, Clark?
I'm fired up to be here after the success of last week. Obviously, if you read the comments, not any single person looked at my list and had any critique. It was all love from the fans, so we got to bring it back to them. I'm excited. This list, I think, is going to be even more beloved than the last list, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. There's going to be positivity everywhere. Also joining us, who was here last week, we have Sol. How are you, Sol?
Good. I'm still stuck in Mexico, but besides that, I just got to ask you, it still says schedule up there. We are live, right? We are definitely live 100%.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Maybe it's just my phone there because I'm stuck in Mexico and everything. So 6 hours behind. It'll come live eventually. But nonetheless, yeah, still in Mexico, having a good old time. Everybody loved my list last time. Oh, yeah, they all loved my list. They thought I was talking the best way going. But nonetheless, I'm going to cause some controversy this time. And I will say this, though. This will be a surprise. There's only 3 AEW wrestlers on my list.
Wow.
Only 3.
Oh, wow. Still, some people would say that's too much, but who knows? We have Jocelyn Mejia who's saying hello. We hope you're having a great day. And also joining us today, we have someone who wasn't here last Sunday, but he's joining us today. He's tagging in for David, and that is Shad. How are you, Shad?
What's going on, fellas? I am good. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I've never done one of these top 10 lists, so I'm hyped for it. And hopefully the fans, y'all agree with me because I'm always right.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone agreed last week, to be fair, so I'd be surprised if they didn't agree this week, with us. But anyway, let's just get straight into the list, shall we? Because I'm going to kick things off at number 10. I'm going to NXT. I'm talking about the current NXT champion. I'm talking about Trick Williams. So far, 2024 has been a brilliant year for him. And, he's had quite a few banger matches at the NXT Premium Live events. Of course, he won the championship this year as well, which is crazy if you really think about it. But it's really been, I don't want to say a breakout year for him, but it's really been a year which has established him as a singles threat, a big singles threat. But, Clark, I'm going to go straight back to you. I want to find out, who do you have at number 10?
Out of the gates, a guy that's carried the IC title with pride all year. The pride of Canada, Sami Zayn. Gotta make the list somewhere. I'm taking Sami Zayn at 10. It's just a quality pick. It's a good spot for Sami. He can obviously go higher, but for right now, Sami Zayn at 10.
A very solid pick indeed. Of course, he dethroned Gunther, which is not an easy thing to do at WrestleMania, no doubt about it. What about you, Sol?
So quick thing there, former NXT champion Stephen Page is the current one. Sorry, Allison.
Of course he is. Oh, that was a whiff on my part, but yeah, sorry.
I tip my hat to myself. Nonetheless, my number 10 is somebody from the UK. He is the current Riot Cabaret champion, but as well as the current Rev Pro Undisputed British champion, and that's Michael Oku. Somebody who's really teared it up here in the UK. Look at that stellar match he had with Ospreay. Ospreay's last independent British match before signing with AEW. I think if you go to a lot of people in the UK, they'll ask which favourite British match of the year. It's either Kid Lycos and Spike Trivet at Twisted Metal, or it's Oku and Ospreay at that Red Pro show. Nonetheless, as well, he's also done stuff internationally with, I believe it was AAA. He's done some stuff internationally with as well. Also just truly one of the biggest rising stars here in the UK scene. He's really taken over what Osprey's pedestal was, and is really now like a shiny beacon for some stars here in the UK.
Absolutely. I mean, no doubt about it. Went with that one. I mean, people loved it last week, Saul, when we, gave our thoughts on, the brilliant British wrestlers such as Rio. Nobody thought that was controversial. But in all seriousness, Michael Oku, I 1000% do agree with you. He's had a great 2024 so far, just like he had a great 2023 too. But Shad, who do you have at number 10?
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world. I have the artist formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, as my number 10 pick. I know this, the accolades of belts don't matter, but consistency matters. And this year, he's consistently winning gold. I think he's been doing a phenomenal job in TNA post WWE. We got to see him as winning gold in New Japan as the IWGP Global Champ, and even won the Triple A Mega Title. So I feel like there's a lot of, a lot of positive going in with Nick post WWE. I think people are seeing a star that we know that was there, but obviously at the latter part of his career didn't get utilized. And yeah, he's just killing it. So I got Nick Nemeth at number 10.
A very, very solid option indeed. Yeah, he has been killing it in TNA, of course, like you said, last night won that TNA championship, and Anthony Manzano's corrected me too, of course. Trick Williams, he's not the NXT champion anymore. Bit of a whiff on my part, but he's still number 10, no doubt about it. We also have a comment from Geordie saying, Soul, have you joined the Wyatt family with your attire today?
Yo, that's crazy.
That is gold.
That was pretty funny, I ain't gonna lie.
Meanwhile, Anthony Manzano has Braun Breaker at number 10. A great shout indeed. Meanwhile, at number 9, I'm going to say somebody who also isn't a champion, and that is Chad Gable. Chad Gable this year, he hasn't won that many matches, but this isn't a kayfabe ranking. The fact of the matter is, this year he became one of the most over faces in WWE. Everybody wanted him to take the IC title. He didn't take the IC. I don't know what's happening there with Saul's mic. He didn't take the IC title, but he has turned heel now. He's having this brilliant feud with the Wyatt Six as well, and it is just thoroughly entertaining. So here's who I have at number 9. But what about you, Clark? Who do you have in that 9 slot?
So watch this. I'm just going to bug people, but listen to this logic here. I've got a number 9, the guy that Sami Zayn, my number 10 pick, defeated for the IC title. The Ring General, the king of the ring, Gunther. He's had a heck of a year. Yes, his reign ended at Mania, but he followed it up strong, and he deserves this spot at number 9 in my eyes. Got Gunther at 9. Former IC champ, current king of the ring. Fair trade. Fair trade. That's all I'm saying.
Indeed it is. But what about you, Soul? Who do you have in the 9 slot?
Yeah, sorry about that, lads. Room service needs to stay hydrated somehow, or else I'll pass out. Number 9 for me, Shad will like this, is the current NXT North American champion, Oba Femi. He is somebody that has really stood out to me this year. He won the championship at the beginning of the year, and he had that stellar match against Josh Briggs and Dijak at Stand and Deliver. Continued on his run, and I think he's really been somebody that a lot of people think, when he's brought to the main roster, could be given a Gunther on Braun Breaker treatment and immediately shot into a title program. Truly an exceptional rising star in WWE.
Absolutely. I mean, I said it as soon as I saw that guy. I said, and it's become cliche now, but everybody disagreed with me at the time. People are starting to agree a little more. I said, Obafemi, Braun Breaker, they're going to be the Rock and Stone Cold of this next upcoming generation in WWE, and I still stick by that phenomenal pick there, Sol. But what about you, Shad? Who are you putting in that number 9 slot?
I think Soul, as a trade-off, is going to like this pick. I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre. I think, the work that Drew has done for WWE this year has been remarkable, and a lot of it obviously comes in losing effort with the whole storyline with CM Punk. But you're talking about consistency week upon week. He's always doing great work, character-wise, in-ring-wise. He's putting on main event matches on Raw. You talk about cutting promos. Drew's one of the best promos in wrestling at the moment, and he's doing phenomenal work on that. And I mean, he's just giving you great match quality. I mean, he's had a lot of top tier matches going on this year, and he's a big focal point in the world heavyweight picture throughout the Raw this year as well. So I'm gonna go with Drew. I think he's, a person that could potentially rise. He also won the Money in the Bank. I know failed cash in. He's been the world heavyweight champ. Obviously, got cashed in on that, but maybe he should just stay away from briefcases.
That could well be I mean, whenever there's a briefcase around, it does go wrong for Drew McIntyre, but a great pick indeed. K's K is saying that he's got Cody at number 1. At number 10, he's got Solo, and at number 9, he has Sami Zayn. Two very good shouts with Gunther and Jey Uso. Don't make his top 10, but they do deserve a special shout out that he says, well, somebody who does make my top 10 at number 8 is actually the current Intercontinental Champion, and that is Sami Zayn. Of course, he dethroned Gunther, and he's had quite a few banger matches in his Intercontinental Championship reign thus far. So for me, he is an easy it pick at number 8. But Clark, who do you have?
Okay, so hear me out here, guys. At 8, I thought about this a lot, and I might get criticized for if you value volume of matches, maybe more than others. But I have the biggest star in all of pro wrestling, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, at 8, because of the influence he had on the product leading to the biggest moment of the year. And I think he deserves the spot. And I'm going with Rock at 8.
My guy,
I don't hate it.
my guy, do you have heat stroke? Is there a heat wave going on, Nelly? Right
He
now?
had more hands in the cookie jar than anyone else at the biggest moment in this industry this year. He deserves to be on the list, like him or not. He audibled when he had to audible. He showed up when he didn't have to show up at the press conference.
That's true.
He wrestled a heck of a match. He went over on the current WWE champion in that match. How many people have pinned the current WWE champion?
I mean, it doesn't matter in this argument, but here's the thing about it. I think it is a solid pick, to be honest with you. I don't hate it at all, because at the end of the day, this also includes promo work, and he was cutting some brilliant promos in the lead up to WrestleMania, and he was an absolute star, and he made that WrestleMania as big as he did, which is what KK is saying.
Yep.
Very, very good pick indeed. But, so, what about you? Who do you have in the number 8 slot?
I've got somebody who has really grown as a single star for me. Yes, they had the worst match of Mania weekend. No, it was just a terrible match. But he's truly rose above, and that's the Yeet Man himself, Jey Uso. I'm surprised with how well Jey has gotten over with the fans. I still look at his Backlash entrance as a very special entrance with how connective it was. I personally don't want him to be involved with the Rhea Dom storyline. Like, let him be a single star. I don't want him to get back with Jimmy. I don't want him involved in the Bloodline. Maybe for a War Games match. But I truly want him to be like an actual single star that can maybe be seen as a WWE champion in the future.
Oh, that is indeed a great shout. The Yeet Man himself. Also, we do have a comment and a quickly shout out over on X. Jordan Fox is saying Gable, Hendry, Rollins, Priest, Obafemi, Cody Rhodes, Will Ospreay, Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, and Gunther is his top 10. That is another controversial one.
But Jordan, what's good, man?
Shout out Jordan. I think it's fair, just Reigns at 2. Controversial indeed. But Shad, who do you have at number 8?
Yeah, I gotta go with my NXT following, and I gotta go with Obafemi. This is a guy who's like said by before, the work he's put in as a in-ring competitor has been phenomenal, and I think that kind of gets overshadowed sometimes, just how dominant of character he is, and how he just demands the presence, but it's also his promo ability too. I feel like he talks with such eloquence He seems like he's the king of the mountain. Like, like he commands the king of the hill with North American title. So I think that he is definitely a person that may rise on this list as the year continues to go. But the fact that he was someone that wasn't even thought about last year to being a top 10 person in my rankings this year says a lot about him. So I got Obafemi.
A very solid choice indeed. And also, Clark just sent a message saying it's number 7, not 8, by the way. No, it's not. It's number 8 we're still doing. We've not got to 7 yet.
That
Soul
was
sent
me,
that
isn't it?
message.
Isn't it 7?
Oh. No.
No, I would
8.
never. I can count.
I thought you were correcting me.
Math I
was
don't
all
do.
confused.
Counting's in my repertoire.
I thought you hated maths. But you know
I got
what you
hateful.
don't hate? Obafemi. Great pick indeed, Shad. He is the man at the minute. And like I keep saying, he's going to be a future WrestleMania main eventer. In at number 7 on my list is somebody who's going to feel a little hard done by here being this low, in my opinion. But it's only because the 6 names above him, I think, have done a little bit more. And that is Zack Sabre Jr. This guy has been killing it in the ring this year. And anybody who knows me knows I love ZSJ. His style, it is just perfection for me. I love his matches. And this year, well, it's shaping up to be one of his best years ever. And if he has a good G1, which I imagine he will, he could well be in the top 5 by the end of the year. So number 7 for me, not 8, Soul, is Zack Sabre Jr. But Clark, I know you can count. Who do you have in the 7 slot?
So 7 I did. This is the most selfish pick I made. This is purely for nostalgia, but let's not forget this is the last time I can put one of my all-time favorites, one of my childhood heroes on this list. It's Sting. That final match was in this calendar year. He deserves this spot on this list. The Stinger, for the final time he'll ever make a list like this, at 7.
It's Sting! Great pick indeed. We've got Kafka's K saying, does Jay even need a title if he manages to get Rhea? I mean, to be fair, that does
Great
sound
call.
like a Tuesday daily
That's
discussion.
fair.
I literally turn on the daily every Tuesday. Shad, Jordan, Chaos, right? This week Soul was on it too, and like 90% of it is talking about chicken tendies and Dom's relationship advice. It is just the funniest. It's the funniest 45 minutes of my week, no doubt.
To be fair, that's all that Raw talks about too. So.
If
That's
it's bread and
true.
chicken, Jordy is an expert. Everyone needs to know that.
It is, and it does crazy well too. Like
Nuggets, tenders, all of them.
Oh gosh, we have Laurie Taylor in the chat. Shout out with the scorpion emojis for Sting. But up next, Soul, who do you have at number 7?
Number 7, I have somebody who's already been mentioned, but it's a gentleman who has won the World Heavyweight Championship this year. He's also main evented some pay-per-views. He's also put in the Scottish Hall of Fame for wrestling. That's Drew McIntyre. The reason why Drew is a bit on the low list is just the whole Punk interference thing doesn't really jive with me. 1 or twice, that's fine. But continuing on, it's not really working well for me. The whole quitting and then coming back literally 5 days later doesn't work for me as well. But he still puts on amazing matches. He truly is a pillar for Raw right now. I'm excited to see what he does for SummerSlam, and if Bad Blood is the final blow off with Punk, then I just hope he absolutely obliterates the Chicago boy.
Oh, bad blood, bad blood, bad blood. What about you, Shad?
Yeah, my number 7 pick is someone that y'all mentioned already, but he's one of my favorite wrestlers. He may be my favorite men's superstar in the WWE. That is Sami Zayn. I think he's been having a great Intercontinental run. I know a lot of the criticism is because people want a younger star to get it off of him, but I mean, we had him have a big moment beating historical champion Gunther, and him and Chad Gable has been a phenomenal feud. Him and Braun has been a great feud so far, so I feel like he's been able to tell good storylines as IC champ, and he's just the ultimate underdog. When Sammy talks, I feel like I want to run through a wall just because I want to like back somebody like him. So I'm saying let's vote Sammy for U.S. president now that Biden has dropped out of the race.
Let's do it. He's Canadian, which is a
Get
slight
him some
issue, but
citizenship.
Hey man, let's get him a U.S. citizenship.
we'll have to wait and see. But I do agree, he is such a great underdog, and he's also such a great heel too. He's one of those guys who he can do whatever in professional wrestling. Was underrated for so long. Finally, he's getting his flowers. But I do want to talk about Kendrick Lamar for a second, right, guys? Because he's been going around this year saying that he's the biggest hater. I don't agree, because I think that title belongs to somebody else, and I believe that title belongs to Drew McIntyre, who is coincidentally on my list at number 6. This guy, right, I know people can question parts of the booking, but the fact of the matter is, all his promos have been exceptional, absolutely exceptional this year. He's had quite a few banger matches, and also he's used social media to his advantage so well to really, excel storylines, specifically the CM Punk storyline. And I'm just so invested. This is the best Drew McIntyre has ever been. I love this version of him, and he is number 6 on my list. But Clark, who do you have in that number 6 slot?
I love this too. For me, when it comes to haters, I know one that has a ton and is one himself, and that's who I've got at number 6, the current AEW International Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He just went 59-58 with one of the best in the business merely a week ago, and recency bias, say whatever you will about this, but put Max on a poster and people show up. That's what happens. He's that good. He calls himself the best in the world, and he's at number 6 on my list. If anything, knowing Max, he'll be disappointed he's this low.
Clark, I previously just said Drew McIntyre is the biggest hater. I'm going to have to take that back because I think our comment section is going to be the biggest hater when they see this list. Number 8, The Rock. Number 7, Sting. Number 6, MJF. Oh dear, he's wrestled one match this year, but
I picked all my buddies.
A good match.
I picked the good ones.
Match.
See, I picked the good ones. I didn't go. I went quality over quantity. See, maybe
You said The Rock. You said MJF has one match, or
no? Sorry, he's had more than one match.
You said 3.
Right.
The Rock had one.
Three.
But I mean, I went quality over quantity.
I mean, listen, we all we said was consistency. Technically, if you only had one match and it was very good, that is technically consistent. Cav KK is saying, love the company logos shown for the women's top 10. Glad you liked that. I messed up on the Jordan Grace one, and I really feel bad because Soul's just gotten all the... I tried taking the blame, Soul got it instead. But Anthony Manzano wants us to read out the rest of his list. He's got Leighton Buzzard at number 9. At 8, he's got Blake Christian. Psycho Clown at number 7. Drew McIntyre at 6. Seth Rollins at 5. Number 4, Gunther. Number 3, Obafemi. Number 2, Cody Rhodes. And number 1, Roman Reigns.
Psycho Clown had that good of a year?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything from Psycho Clown this year. To be brutally honest
what do we think
this.
about his list? Anthony Manzano, your list is your list, bro. I don't have anything to say about it because I don't think you'll like what I have to say about it. So,
beef. But I like the list. So, who's number 6 on your list?
So number 6, I'll need to explain a wee bit. This is a guy who has held a championship for near enough a year now. He's just won a Riot Cabaret Tag Team Championships here in the UK. He's wrestled for over 15 promotions this year. Made his AEW Collision debut. He is the TNT World Champion. That is Tate Mayfair's, who's based here in the UK. This gentleman has absolutely excelled. So many different promotions he's wrestled for. He's kept the TNT World Championship on him for nearly a year. Wrestled that and defended that in other promotions. He went to that Uganda soft ground wrestling as well. He's done stuff in there. And also making his AEW debut against Daniel Garcia was exceptional, and he's done stuff in Progress with the Super Strong Style 16. I think Tate Mayfair's is really, really, really established here in the UK, and is a guy that I could see being picked up by one of the big companies in the next year.
He is so underrated. There's absolutely zero doubt about that. Shard, what about you? Who do you have at number 6?
Let me pull up my list again. It's locked out of my phone. I have it all written
Yeah,
down.
we've all been there. All
Number
these
6.
tabs love shutting down when you're
Yeah.
about to read them.
Yeah, number 6, you have to all rise for the Judgment Day because I have our World Heavyweight Champion, Damian Priest. I say it on Tuesday all the time. I feel Damian Priest is one of the most criminally underrated champions in pro wrestling because I feel people for some reason hate on him a lot, and I don't know why. I think a lot of it is just I think wrestling fans have a bad habit of trying to fast forward book too much, and that's kind of where it comes with it. But I like to appreciate the moment in time, and I think he's had a great run. I think he's been the glue piece for Judgment Day, especially with Rhea Ripley being out when it talks about cutting promos, being in these backstage segments with Dominic and the whole Finn Balor situation. So yeah, I got Damian Priest at number 6.
A great pick indeed, absolutely. I think he's a bit hard done by to not get on my list, to be honest with you, because his reign has been so underrated because he's been doing great promo work backstage, telling multiple stories, not just about his title reign, and then in the ring, he's been backing it all up. Great pick there, Shard. Meanwhile, at number 5, I have the current AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland. His booking has been abysmal for the most part, but his performance as champion has been brilliant. He's had several banger matches and deserves the number 5 slot, in my personal opinion. But Clark, who do you have in that 5 slot?
At 5, I've got one of my favorite picks of my entire list here. I've got the NXT North American Champion, Oba Femi, at 5, and deservedly so, because guess what? He's not Mr. Triple Threat, even though he is Mr. Triple Threat, because every time he's in one, it's a classic. But this dude just went 11 and a half minutes with Duke Hudson and 16 with Wesley in absolute bangers, one-on-one on Tuesday night. And if you're not watching, you're the one that's missing out. It's not my fault. Obafemi is that good. You put someone in front of him, he knocks him down. It's pretty much that simple. He's that dominant. He's that believable. Every single thing he does in the ring, on the mic, matters. And he deserves this number 5 spot over a bunch of huge, huge names.
A really solid pick, like I've said about everybody who's picked him. I feel bad that I haven't picked him. It's another one who didn't quite make my list, despite the fact that I'm an Obafemi fan. But a brilliant pick there, Clark. But Soul, who do you have at number 5?
Still no AEW showing, which is probably a little nervous inside of me. But number 5 for me is somebody I think everybody's mentioned, is the current IC champion, Sami Zayn. I think Sami is in a better position than he is now than he was last year with the tag title win with KO and himself obviously against the Usos. He's still not cooled down. Like, I feel there's still a lot of hotness around Sami with the fans as well. You see how much he's truly loved, and he gets those amazing entrance videos as well, where it's just like a one continuous shot. The match of him and Gable for the IC title at Clash of the Capital Scotland, I think, is my favorite WWE match of the year. I'll need to rewatch Mania, maybe even Backlash, but from that point on, I think Clash of the Castle, Sami and Gable is my favorite WWE match of the year. So that's why he's number 5.
Wow. But you are right, he's had a banger year as well. So many great wrestlers this year, but which great wrestler are you putting at number 5, Shard?
I got the ring general Gunther at number 5. I think, start off the year, Intercontinental Champion, going to continue a historical reign. A lot of banger matches going in there. Banger match with Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. And then after losing the IC title, he's still picking up steam. I think his entire King of the Ring run was phenomenal. Gunther is just a guy who is the total package when it comes to wrestling superstar. His in-ring ability is second to none, and he commands a presence of just like, feeling like he's way better than you, and it really shows how he talks in his promos. So I'm gonna go with Gunther, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the top 3 before the year ends, because he may have that world heavyweight title around his waist after SummerSlam.
He could well do indeed. But I'm currently talking about one of the champions in WWE, not the World Heavyweight Champion, but instead the WWE Champion, because in at 4, I have the guy who finished the story at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes. He's had a brilliant year. He's had several great matches, but my issue is he comes out every week and he kind of does the same promo. What do we want to talk about? Every week I reply saying I want to talk about Arsenal's title chances next season, and every week he doesn't reply to me.
Doesn't want to talk about it.
It's I'm going to be honest with you, Cody. It's kind of soured me on you. But in all seriousness, there's just 3 people who've been slightly better than him this year. In at number 4, I do have the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. But Clark, who do you have?
So this is absolutely worst case scenario because you can keep your bathrobes and your tie clips on if you're a Cody Crybaby. I've got the same flipping guy hanging out at 4 for me, and deservedly so. Never talks about what I want to talk about. And yeah, I mean, wears the 3-piece suits because he's a bad guy, posing as a good guy. I've believed it all along. He's got the tie clips. As Ben stated, he never talks about what we want to talk about. There's 1,000 subjects we could have talked about this whole time. He keeps talking about himself every time. The ultimate heel in pro wrestling, Cody Rhodes at 4 for me.
Like, tomorrow on Raw, I'd ask him if he wanted to put his hat in the race for presidency, but unfortunately he just, well, firstly, he's not on Raw, secondly, he just wouldn't reply anyway, so he might as well not be.
Never talks about it.
Yeah, I mean, Soul, please tell me that you want to talk about Cody Rhodes at number 4 too?
Nah, mate, I want to talk about whose house? Swerve's house. Number 4 for me is the AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland. I understand some people complaining about him not maybe getting main event time or more the biggest showcase. Fair, whatever point to them, if they want to mention that's fine. But I truly enjoy seeing Swerve on the TV screen for me, and the matches. You know, Ospreay, Joe, the freeway with Hangman and Joe at Revolution, which I saw in person, which was just perfecto. The whole Ospreay one was just stellar in itself, and the fact that he's going to be facing Bryan Danielson, Wembley Stadium, All In as well, is truly, truly, truly exciting for me to see where he was last year on All In to now. Quite a journey, and I really do love Swerve as AEW World Champion.
Absolutely, no, his progression has been amazing. Shad, what about you? Who do you have in the 4 slot?
So y'all 2 agreed on Cody, and me and Soul agree at 4 on Swerve Strickland. He's my number 4 pick as well. It's ironic how it happened that way, but I totally agree in the notion that the booking may have not been what I like how the presentation is as champion, but if we're talking solo superstar and what he does, Swerve is that. He's just a complete megastar when it comes to being your world champion. He can deliver in the ring. He's had some of the best matches this year. You know, him and Ospreay is one of my favorite matches this year as well. And I mean, he's that guy. Like, he's so cool. You know, he's got the ability to, you know, hang out with the athletes, hang out with the movie stars, hang out with the musicians, and it feels like he is one of them just because he oozes that presence of being a star. And a lot of that goes with what we're talking about, what you can do in regards to in the ring, but what you do outside the ring and what you do on the talking spectrum. So I got my man Swerve Strickland. We're going to swerve to him at number 4.
You swerve when you drive. Yeah, that is quite funny. Me and Clark agreed, and then you and Soul agreed. But let's see if we all agree on the next one. Because at number 3, I have the former Intercontinental Champion, the current King of the Ring, and somebody who just, no matter who he's in the ring with, steals the show, and that is Gunther. His in-ring work, I truly believe he's the best in-ring wrestler in the world right now, and I will stand by that statement, and he's number 3 on my list. Clark, who do you have?
So when I got to this point in my list, I really had to break it down between a number of names, and obviously I had to break it down when it comes to the whole top 10 into different kind of portions of the top 10 because of the criteria. This is where consistency, the volume started to matter more, is at the top end of my top 10 list. I would say no one has provided more volume, bruv, than Will Ospreay at number 3. 100% former international champion, deserves to be in this spot, earned this spot, despite the fact he's ranked ahead of MJF. He, as the best challenger to the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland yet this year, earned a higher spot on my list personally than I think you would maybe expect, because I gave some credit to a small amount of work and how impactful it was. This is where I gave credit to a large amount of work and how impactful it continued to be. And Will Ospreay, the Billy Goat, bruv, deserves this spot at 3.
I think that is shockingly low. But we'll get onto that, I'm sure, in just a couple of picks' time, I have a feeling, across the board. But what about you in at number 3, Sol?
I think a lot of people will be surprised by this, just with how generally I am as a fan. But for me, it's Mr. Something Cody Rhodes is number 3. And when I put together this list for number 1, number 2, and Cody, those were the 3 names that I immediately wrote down, and that was the hardest to juggle with. But Cody, because he finished the story at Mania, Backlash, had a great match against AJ, another banger match against AJ at Clash of the Castle, Logan Paul at Saudi. Now he's got Solo lined up for SummerSlam, and all in all, like, Cody is still the biggest face in wrestling at the moment. In generally, he is the biggest face. With how much the kids love him, how much people go and sing his theme. It transcends language barriers. Backlash France, they were able to sing the whole thing in English. So you can't deny a man who's completely over if he transcends language barriers.
That is an interesting point, but actually a good one. I didn't even think about that. I mean, Shad, who do you have in the number 3 slot?
Ah, man, so these last 3 are hard because I've been just fighting with my mind to think which one I would pick at what docket. But at number 3, I am going to agree with Clark, and I'm going to go with Will Ospreay. I believe that he has, built the notion as probably one of the best, if not the best, professional wrestler in the world. I think he's been like a slam dunk pick for the AEW roster since he's come in there. You can't mention Will Ospreay without saying match of the year contender, right? So he definitely deserves to be on top of this list. The only thing is I don't think he connects with me as a character as the other 2 guys that are going to be above him. And that is the only minute reason why he's not in 1 or 2 is just because I think he can cut good promos, but I've not connected with Ospreay on a personal level as a character. I still look at him as just, I just want to see the guy wrestle more than anything. So
I think both you and Clark, I think I'm going to need to send you guys both for a drug test, because I don't know what wrestling you guys have been watching this
Number
year.
3
But
is relatively high.
You're
What do
so
you mean?
upset at my final 2. You're going to be so upset. I love this.
I'm fuming. I mean, this guy's put on, I think, out the 10 best matches of the year. I think we'll take it to the table. Everybody put 3 Will Ospreay matches, and that was before his match with MJF this week. I mean, the guy's just... This is the year of the Ospreay. But anyway, let's not get into that, because we need to get into number 2 instead. And in that number 2, I have the guy who is hanging up his boots this year, or at least on a full-time basis. And that is Bryan Danielson. He has been trying to do everything that he dreams of doing this year so he can finish off his full-time career the way that he wants to. And it's been a lot of fun, thoroughly entertaining to watch, and a good choice, in my personal opinion, for the number 2 slot. But, Clark, I want to find out who you have at number 2, because, why you're saying I'm not going to be too happy.
At 2, I had a guy that wrestled one heck of a match against the guy that I had at number 3. And I have a guy that weathered the storm and has been nothing short of consistent throughout the year. Yes, people were down on some of the booking and whatnot, but his charisma and work ethic and drive overcame that, and he showed how consistent of a performer he is. And that category of the few qualifiers when it comes to this list is what brought him to this high on the list, and that is AEW World Champion. I swerve when I drive, Swerve Strickland at 2, and deservedly so. Him and Will Ospreay have been the backbone of AEW all year. They are not AEW originals, but that is the backbone of that company right this second period. No matter what anybody says, they put it on their shoulders, and they've carried it week in and week out all year long. Swerve deserves this spot. I know I might get hate for that, and especially for putting him above Ospreay, but to me, they're 2A and 2B, and there shouldn't even be a third on this list when it comes to that, and you can just have that argument for the rest of our lives, because they're equals. To me, AEW right this second is about Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay and what they're capable of and what they can do, and what they've done in this first quarter of the year, quarter and a half of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's easily an argument that can be made there that Swerve does indeed deserve that number 2 pick. A fantastic choice, Clark. But him and Osprey, I don't. Oh, we're gonna get into the Osprey bit in a little bit, I imagine. But Soul, who do you have in the number 2 slot?
Well, I'll keep it short and brief, Allison, because you said it. For me, it's American Dragon, Brian Danielson at number 2 for me. Brian did stuff in CMLL, New Japan, and AEW's where he's truly thrived and really made the most of this final year for him, obviously full time. There's going to be a Wembley all-in World Championship match. Where he goes from there might decide whether he switches with my number 1. Could be interesting. But like I saw a cool stat, like Brian, if he wrestles in Wembley, has achieved wrestling some of the biggest stadiums in Japan, Mexico, USA, and now the UK. So to have that on his accolades in his final year, maybe even a possible World Championship win, it's phenomenal for the American Dragon.
Truly is a great way to finish his full-time career. But Shad, what about you? Who do you have at number 2?
Yeah, number 2, I have Cody Rhodes. I think Cody has still been doing a phenomenal job. I know a lot of people complain about the title reign and people will say it's boring. I've not been bored of it. I can agree that some of the bloodline stuff can kind of be rinse and repeat, but I still have interest in it, especially with the new people. But that's not beside the point. I think he's had one of the best matches, if not the best match of the year, with Roman at Mania. I think him finishing his story was a monumental moment as champion. Great matches with AJ Styles, Logan Paul. He's here every single week. You know, he's cutting his promos. He's doing all that he needs to do, and he's just one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling in general. So I got him at number 2.
A great choice indeed. Now we're on to our number 1 slot. I'll kick things off. I do not believe, right? I mean, with all these lists, it's always very much a personal opinion, right? But this year, when it comes to purely in-ring work, promo work, and most importantly, consistency, I genuinely cannot even see an argument for anybody who's not called Will Ospreay being at number 1. I mean, this guy had 2 potential Match of the Year candidates before he left New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he left New Japan Pro Wrestling in February. He then rocked up in AEW. And let's be real about it, right? It's either him or Swerve who... I mean, basically the only good things about the company are quite often this year. But Will Ospreay's put on, like, genuinely, not even exaggerating, 7 Match of the Year contenders this year. And that was before the match of MJF this week on Dynamite. This guy, I mean, I can't even put into words how great he is. It's absolutely unbelievable. Zero argument. I put Bryan Danielson at number 2. I believe there's about 20 miles between him and Bryan Danielson this year because Will Ospreay, he's just on another level. But Clark, I want to find out who you have in your number 1 slot.
I love that pick. This is going to be a bit controversial because I didn't quite value volume that way this year. There's only one person, though, in all of professional wrestling that when he walks into a room, everyone gets nervous. Everyone has to look. When he walks into a building, everyone buys tickets. When he puts on his wrestling gear, you have to watch. There's no replay. You stay up if it happens in the middle of the night. You go out of your way to make sure you saw him perform on that night. And that is the real tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Pro wrestling is at its peak because of what he did the last 4 years, but what he did in the first quarter and half of this year, even what he's done by being gone, keeps it relevant in a way you cannot take him away. He is the face of the industry to this minute. He's the Michael Jordan of what we're watching right this second. He's the Ronaldo, the Messi, whatever you'd like to call it. He's the Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps. He's all of those athletes. That's who Roman Reigns is right this second, because the minute they hit that music, we all have to be watching. We all have to be watching, and he set that up perfect this year. Not only that, he deeply affected wrestlers on the rest of my list. Cody Rhodes, guys that honorable mentions, the entire bloodline. You cannot watch a single WWE Weekly show without saying his name out loud, and he's not even there.
A great pick, indeed. Very controversial one, though, too, no doubt. Sol, who do you have at number 1?
I'll just keep it short and brief. Allison, you said it. It's Will Ospreay. I mentioned the Oku match being one of the best in British wrestling history. Honestly, it probably is up there because it was phenomenal. Stuff in New Japan with United Empire against, I think it was Bullet Club in a steel cage
the
match.
War Dogs.
Yeah, War Dogs. It was exceptional. To have him continue that consistency from another company, independence, into AEW, and to be somebody that has really connected well with the fans. They chant the Ospreay part of his theme, the MJF Ospreay match. You know, the little kid getting involved and having a wee high five of Ospreay was just wholesome in itself. International champion. I think he's actually elevated that title for me personally. I'm just really excited to see what he does for All In, because last year Jericho, this year is actually kind of unknown. Like, is it going to be somebody maybe debuting? Is it going to be a returning star, or is he going to go against the Don Callis family again? Like, Ospreay for All In this year, I think, is a lot more mystery and entice around it. So yeah, Ospreay's the best in the world. I'm sorry.
I completely agree with you, Sol. But Shad, who do you have at number 1?
It's the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. I don't think there's a person that has me more invested on week-to-week television on AEW now than Danielson at this point, because I'm so excited to just see what he can do on the in-ring status. Like, he's delivered on a lot. I know Ospreay, you said he's had a bunch of match of the years. Danielson is no short from that. He's had a ton of match of the year contenders on this calendar year, and he's just really getting back into that bag where he's got the fans emotional, tugging on heartstrings, because this could be the last run for him, right? And I think he's really mirrored that in ways, outside of wrestling, but within the ring. I think the Owen Cup really displayed a lot of phenomenal work by him, and it felt so good to see him win that as well. And I think he's gonna get that title at Wembley, man. I think this is really Danielson's year. Yeah, I think he is. I think this is his year. It's only right. I think he's the AEW is not AEW what it is now unless they sign Danielson.
Great
a
point.
few years back, like he's the big fish that they were able to get. My bad. What do you say?
No. I'm completely agreeing with you. He has been such an absolute star, and you are right. He could end up going down as the wrestler of the year. It is between him and Ospreay for me, for sure. Clark, you certainly went with a wild card, Roman Reigns, but at the end of the day, our lists are all quite different, and it's going to be interesting to see what everybody thinks. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please leave your lists down in the comments below. And we'll be back same time, same place now, every day, including Thursdays, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 12 p.m. Pacific for you in the United States of America. Thank you, Sol. Thank you, Shad. Thank you to Clark. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.